Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's AI Intelligence Masterclass number 2. I'm just going to do the welcoming this morning. I'm David Hopstad, part of the Adolf team. Unfortunately, Dr. Chetty couldn't join us this morning, so therefore I'm doing the welcome for you guys. I hope everybody online can hear us. And if you're having sound problems, please just check your device's sound settings. And of course, you can also use the YouTube channel as well. So guys, have a wonderful time. Richard is going to be taking you guys through building AI agents for personalized learning. So that means you can really use these tools to help you with your studies, and you'll see basically as we go through the course, how it's going to fit into what you want to do and how you can actually work with these going forward. And I'm sure you've seen online how many different types of agents are being created and what they're doing. It's very, very interesting and frightening in a sense, everything that's happening in the world with AI agents. So guys, we're going to have a real fun session. So if you only have got one device, what I do suggest is please do follow along, because we will have the recording. It is the same one that's on the YouTube channel. And then maybe later on, then when you've got time, you can actually work through the lesson again, pause where you need to pause, do what you need to do, because yeah, that'll just make it easier for you. So maybe just sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, see how he does it and explains everything to you. And then from there, you can go and tackle this, because I know exams are just around the corner, so we're not going to push the session too long. We were going to try to have a hybrid session, but unfortunately with the weather and everything else, venues, it's very tricky at the minute. So, but guys, have a wonderful session with Richard. He's an expert in the field of AI, so do post the questions. We'll also try and answer as much as we possibly can as well. Have a fun session, and over to you, Richard.
Okay, thank you, David. Good morning, everyone. As David mentioned, my name is Richard Wright. I'm currently an educational technologist at the Student Digital Resilience Project. As you can see, I'm actually sitting in the gaming lab at UNISA Makamayuk studio today. I'm actually originally from Cape Town, but we're up here this week for workshops. So yeah, just as you can see, I'm not an AI yet, but maybe in the future, AI will run all of these workshops actually for us as it's progressing at such a rapid pace. Now, as David mentioned, you probably heard in the news, Anthropic Mythos is coming. They put it out to all the big companies to test out for the security, because apparently it's going to be so good. So we will have to see where that is going. Sometimes it's just hype. But as we always say, it's not AI that's going to take your job one day. It's the person that knows how to use it. So you're definitely here in the right place to get started, to get the upper edge. Now, as we also mentioned, this is the second masterclass. I will show you later where the first one is. If you haven't done it yet, that's actually the one that we run at the beginning of the year and mostly last year. So this is the follow-up to that one. But it has been designed so that you can start off with this one as it is. So this one definitely designed for you as ODEL students. We do always, because you are, we want to make sure that you can really excel within your studies, but you're also going to get some valuable skills that you can later on use within the workspace as well. If you actually look at most applications these days, they actually ask, what is your AI experience? So it's definitely one of those skills that you do need to learn right now to be ready for the workspace. Now, this course, you don't need any technical background. We'll go through what is generative AIs again, what is large language models. So you've got a good foundation. And then from there, we're going to build up to the prompts. Now, the Masterclass 1 goes a lot deeper into prompting. So this one, we're just going to touch on it. And then we're going to start talking about AI agents and how you can create your own tutor agent. But you do need to understand very well what is the difference between just a large language model that you general chat versus an agent, where the world is heading to at the moment. So as we mentioned, this one is all about creating a personalized learning experience for yourself. But you can really adapt this to anything. It can be your motivator, it can be your diet instructor. Agents are very powerful in that sense. Now, firstly, you do need to get onto the platform. So I'm going to share the link as well, but I'm just quickly going to share the platform that we've got here. So all of this is on the My Student Skills Hub. So that's at adoveh.unisa.ac.za. I'll post a link in the chat if you want to follow along. Now, as you can see, these ones over here, we've got quite a lot of courses on here, ranging from various topics. But just to make it a little bit easier for you to browse, we highlighted some of the main ones we are focusing at the moment. And as you can see, this is co-curricular activities. So what does that mean? These are the official ones recognized by UNISA. So there's only a few of them so far. Co-curricular activities is something that supports your studies. So it runs parallel with your formal curriculum. Now, these are, how can I say, designed to give you that additional skills so that you can really excel within your studies. But what's very nice about it, if you go to My Admin within your My UNISA, and then you can actually, from the academic record, we download that, you can actually download your co-curricular report. So this is something after you completed this, you do have to do it online. It will display there, and it's something you can add to your CV immediately. So and it's actually got the official UNISA stamp signed by the registrar. So definitely it's something worth doing if you are looking for work while you are studying. Now, yesterday they did the mobile learning masterclass. There's also 2 of them, so definitely go have a look at them as well. We ran the Herd Tech during this week as well. The ladies really enjoyed this one, but the course material is actually designed for everybody. So if you're interested in just basic technology, how to be safe online, definitely have a look at that one. Now, the one I want to highlight here is the 2 African AI masterclasses. So the first one is AI prompt engineering, and we're going to do the second one that focuses more on personalized agents. So if you have not done the previous one, you can definitely go do it online. It's step-by-step work through. You will get a very good understanding what is prompting, but also what is the ethical use of AI within education. Now, I always highlight the in this one, if everybody just goes and use it like they do generally. So for instance, say an academic goes and they create all their study material with AI. They also set up the assessments with AI. Then the student goes and completes all the assignments, for instance, with AI. And then the academic perhaps uses it to assess the submissions as well, also with AI. So where's the human in the loop? So that's where we have to be very cautious, is how do we make this a supportive technology instead of just, how can I say, a replacement for us? Now, I'm going to share the link, African Artificial Intelligence Masterclass 2. Remember, when you log in, you have to log in with your MyLife email address. So you're not going to use this top one. We are working to have it as it was previously, where you can select whether you use a student or not. These are for public access. So you want to focus on this one, to use My UNISA email account. So make sure that you click on this bottom one over here when you log in. Now, when you log in, it's your same MyLife email that you type in with Microsoft, and then your My UNISA password. So remember, you don't have a separate account. It's the same one that you use to log into my modules. Now, very importantly, if you're going to log in with a account that you create, a public account, it won't be picked up as a co-curricular activity. So make sure that you do sign in with your MyLife email address. Now, once you're on the main page, I'm just going to share this link as well for those that want to follow along. So definitely click on the link in the chat will take you directly to the course. Now, there is a welcome message, and you'll be introduced with Lawazi that does some translations for you as well. And that really highlights, what AI can bring to you as a student. One of the, I think the biggest changes is it's the first time that everybody can have the learning material within their home languages, explained within their home language. And then finally, have it also on different learning levels so that you can have a good understanding of the content. So nobody needs to be left behind. We perhaps need to go back and refresh your memory. You can actually ask the AI to do it for you instantaneously. Now, as you can see, there's quite a few units. There's from unit 1 to unit 4. So these are the ones that contains the main content. And then there's also just a conclusion and next step. Now, I do want to highlight, we're going to go through it now. You won't have access to Unit 1 to Unit 4 unless you do the pre-course assessment. So I'm going to give you some time later just to complete it because I do want you to have access to all the content as we work through it. Now, very importantly, at the end, there's also a post-course assessment, and then there's a final assessment. Now, I just want to highlight the differences between these. So the pre-course assessment, you will notice you only get one chance. And it's a score that you get out of 10. And the pre-course assessment is really designed so that you get a good understanding of what is your knowledge before completing the course. So that means it's before you actually have access to all of this material, what is your understanding coming in? So you might get a very low score. That doesn't matter. That's why we also made it only one attempt, because we really want you to see what is your understanding before coming in. Then at the end, the post-course assessment is basically the same questions that you're going to get in the pre-course assessment, but then you're going to see where did you gain knowledge. So it's really there for your own reflection. It doesn't count towards anything. It's just there so that you can see where you start off, where you end off, and it also helps us to see perhaps where there's gaps, in the course material that we need to concentrate on. Now, the final assessment, this is the one that will determine whether it's going to display on your co-curricular report. So for that one, you can do multiple times. You need to get higher than 50% before it will display on your co-curricular report. So just note that. Now, if we just have an overview of this, so please, if you're online on YouTube, you can scan the QR code. But remember, it is available at adovh.unisa.ac.za. And then I'm also just going to ask, please post in the chat if you have any questions along the way, that we can address them as we go along, so that everybody stays, how can I say, with us during this content as we move through the content. Now, the syllabus is firstly getting started. It just gives you an overview of the course, what it's all about. Then we start off with generative AI for learning and productivity. That just gives you the fundamentals. That was covered also quite a lot within the first masterclass. We do an overview of prompt engineering, and really also touching some of the ethical aspects. But remember, for a deep dive in this, please do the first one. And then we start going into what is agents, what is the persona that you give to agents, and then finally we start working on creating our own agent. And in this case, it will be Luwazi, your AI tutor. So I don't know if you do not know Luwazi. Luwazi is our humanoid robot. She's actually here in the venue with me, but she's currently switched on here, off here at the back. And then Luwazi is also our online chat. Now, don't get it confused for those that are paying taxes already. The Luwazi on SARS is the one they stole from us. This is the original Luwazi. As I can say, she's already 3 years old by now. And then lastly, yeah, we'll just go through the conclusion, the next steps, and that's the post-course assessment and what you need to do to have it as a co-curricular activity. Now, when you're going to work through this content on your own, it's going to take about 4 hours total. That's for you to complete all the activities, the reflections, because remember, this is a skill that you're learning, and a skill you can only learn through practice. It's like riding a bicycle. So when it comes to prompting, all of that, it's something you can't just read in a textbook and it's going to work for you every time. It might not give it to you in the format that you want. It might not give it to you with the correct context. So prompting is really a skill that you need to learn for yourself so that you can get the most out of it. How do you actually personalize it towards your viewpoints, your, how can I say, way of thinking. Now, we do deliver this HiFlex, so we did quite a few face-to-face workshops this year. So if any of you joined us already, it was quite fun and great. But we also do quite a lot of online workshops. But you don't need to do the workshop to be able to do a course. You can actually go through it on your own pace and time as well, through doing it just on the My Student Skills Hub. Now, just some prerequisites. You obviously do need internet-enabled device. To do this, you need access to the forums and activities to participate. We recommend having a Microsoft, Google, ChatGPT account so you can test it out through various platforms. But we do have Lowazi also embedded in the course, so you can actually do it directly within the course as well. And then we recommend Edge recommended, but you can also use, for instance, Google Chrome. But yeah, definitely the ones that are supported by the most LLM providers currently. Now, firstly, if you're gonna follow along, you can do this as well. So I'm gonna open up the page. So we're gonna go to getting started. So the things that I covered already are covered over here. So we've got the overview. So if you want to go exactly what we're going to cover in this, all of this is available within the course overview section. And then also as you continue, we start with the icebreaker activity. So I'm going to post a link as well in the chat so you can have direct access to it. I see there's some people saying they can't hear me. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me on your side. I see there's 90 online. Okay, great. So I'm just gonna quickly let me put this just for the person who can't hear. Unfortunately, Teams sometimes does give us a little bit of problem if your bandwidth is not fast enough. Okay, so firstly is the Lowazi that's available online in the course. So Lowazi is there to support you about this course. You can actually ask it, what is this course about? And then Lowazi will spin off and then give us a response as she's been trained on this course material. So you can actually, during this whole time, interact with her as well if you have any questions regarding the course. She has been trained on all the course material. Now, one thing to highlight about Lowazi actually, she obviously has her own knowledge base. She's got a lot of knowledge about UNISA and the various aspects of it, and especially examinations. But Lowazi is actually running on the latest ChatGPT 5.4 at the moment. So if you can't afford, for instance, a ChatGPT subscription, this is one of those ways you can actually test it out for free. So definitely make use of Lowazi in that regard. So it's one of the ways that we can give you access to the latest technologies. So definitely do the first activity. So I'm just going to put in here, for instance, my name. Let's say there. Where are you from? Excited to learn. Let's say agent personas and what they are. So I'm just going to build my greeting. I'm going to copy this. I can click on the copy button as well. And I can just paste it in there. And then you can start interacting with Lowazi. So you can see we try to make it, because as you might know, prompting, doing a very thorough prompt is a lot of typing. So this is the ways we just try to make it a bit easier for you, and then so that you can quickly create your prompts and then interact with Lowazi, the agent that's right on here. But remember, you can also use anyone that you're comfortable with, and I do recommend exploring different AIs. They're always evolving. As I just mentioned earlier, everybody's now talking about Anthropic Mythos coming. That's apparently going to set to take over the world, but it's changing constantly. So it's a very new technology that's always still evolving. So once you've done your introduction, you can come down to the forum and then just post your reply. Please interact with each other on here. It's support. It's where we work together to learn this new technology. And as we say, it's always changing. You might have some tips that you want to share. So definitely do that within the forums. Now, you also notice there's some reflections that you can do along the way. So this is all for yourself. This is not saved on the server. So all of these you just save on your local device that you're using. If you go to a different device, you'll notice you also don't have access to it. So it's just there for your own reflections, so to really solidify what you are learning as you go through these various sections. Now, the next one, as we mentioned, is the pre-course assessment. You won't have access to Unit 1 to 4 unless you complete the pre-assessment. So please complete this pre-assessment. It's one of those critical things that you need to do before you continue with this course. Now, I just want to highlight as well, on this platform, we actually have these AI integrated as well. So you can very easily summarize pages and things like that to help you also understand if you know what is being displayed on the page. So I'm just going to share the link to this one. So this is the pre-course assessment. Please complete the pre-course assessment. I'm going to give you a minute or so just to quickly run through it, and then I'm going to start with the theory aspects. But as I'm doing the theory, you can also still complete the pre-course assessment. So I'm just going to give you everybody about 30 seconds, or yeah, let's say a minute, just to quickly run through the pre-course assessment, and then we'll continue. Okay, so the pre-course assessment, as we mentioned, is only, oh, actually 8 questions. So you can go through it and really answer it truthfully. Remember that the pre-course assessment is really there for your own reflection as well, to see what is your understanding of these various topics before we start diving into them. So after you completed the pre-course assessment, if you go back to the main page, you will then have access to Unit 1 to 4. So please do that one to have access to all of the content, and to the later on when we're going to use the AI builder, so you can create an AI agent very, very quickly. So first, we're going to have a look at what is generative AI, just a quick background on this. So we'll explore what is generative AI and how it works, practical study uses, for saving time, for instance, summarizing, organizing as a student, benefits and limits of AI in education, responsible and ethical use of AI. So remember, especially in the academic context, it's always very important to to use it ethically. I'm just going to share the link again. Let's copy link. Where's the quiz? Apply there. I'm going to paste the link. So you can just click on there. So Nglu, what we'll do is we will share the recording. The next one will probably be only next semester after the exams. We're going to focus on my exams at the moment. But then after that, we will access it. Tempele, remember you need to sign in. Remember when you sign in to use the Microsoft option, not the top option. But if you have sign-in problems after that, you can always just email us at adovh@unisa.ac.za and we will follow up. So what is generative AI? So what makes this technology so unique is definitely it's a system that generates content based on prompts. It's how can I say, creates unique content. Previously, we always had, for instance, things that works with algorithms, or it was trained on a lot of data, and from that data we develop an algorithm that predicts, can I say, sometimes very accurately what to do next. So even before these generative AIs, we already had the deep learning, not deep learning, like machine learning, that actually, how can I say, simulated, what generative AI can do with all the data that it was trained on. But what makes generative AI a bit different is if you look at the history, it started off with a concept actually on a formula of how a brain functions. That's what I call it, neural networks. It's the same neurons, that work in your brain. It did evolve from that quite a lot already. But it's actually content that, how can I say, that it's trained on a vast amount of content, basically all the content they could get in the world, and they ran these models on them. And they run through certain layers with weights until you get one that is really functional. But in truth, up to today, they still actually don't know what happens within that black box, because you put information in on the one side, you get something that works on the other side, and then once your model is created and published, what happens within that is still something that they investigating. And I think it's the first time that we have a technology that works, but there's no formula or scientific way of determining exactly how it works. For instance, they first went that it predicts the next word. There's no real thought within it. And then they started scanning with x-rays, what's happening in the processes. And they saw there was actually some thought before it actually replies to you. But what makes it so unique is definitely your prompt, how you structure your prompt, how you ask it. And that will determine what is the quality and also what it actually produces for you. Now, if you think it of as a brain with all those neurons connected, every time you ask it a question, it will activate the next neuron, for instance, in there, and from there decide which one it goes on. And since they have billions and billions of this, it will always create something unique for you. Now, yeah, so definitely think of it as something that has quite a lot of information. As I mentioned, no AI company has disclosed yet what information they've used for training all of these models, because it does need quite a lot of data. And yeah, so you might just assume it was trained on everything you've ever done basically online. You know they always do the data trading, and that's why they won't disclose it, is because some of it might not have been obtained that legally. So yes, so the data sets that they train on is very, very big. Now you do get some that are bigger than others. So for instance, they theorize, they don't disclose it, how big ChatGPT is currently, and it might be in the trillion parameters. If you use the WhatsApp agent, for instance, they usually talk about 2 billion to 3 billion parameters. So you can see how much they differ in terms of the knowledge that they were trained on. Now, there is different types, such as ChatGPT is basically the text. Where you put in text, you get text out. Okay, so you did very well. Nice, 6 out of 8. No, very well. So hopefully you can still learn something along the way, since you're doing so well. But yeah, so just know there is different ones, such as ChatGPT. As I mentioned, takes text in, text out. DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, usually to text in, gives an image out. And then you got ones like Suno AI that actually creates music. So that takes text in and then provides a song for you at the end. Now, very interesting. These days, if you use ChatGPT, for instance, it will actually, you can ask it for an image, it will create your image. But just know at the bottom, it actually uses different types of AI models. So not all of them are the same. It actually uses various types of ones at the background to actually give you a response. Now, for you that have not used Suno.ai, it's really one of those fun ones to test out, especially if you're interested in music. So where you just can type in, how can I say, a prompt, and it will generate some music for you. And what's nice about it actually supports all the languages. So, depending on your preferred language, you just say, make the song in that, and it will actually produce a song for you. So I'm just going to play this one, for instance, that we did previously, because I don't want to take you all steps of actually doing this, but Suno is one of those that really makes some interesting music. So yes, so you can actually create music from any content. You can actually upload, for instance, your study guide, make a song about a certain section, something catchy so that you remember that. So yeah, just remember when it comes to generative AI, it's not just large language models. You actually get various types where it nah, that's AI. And yeah, so definitely, yeah, there is different ones. Test them out, see how they can support you in different ways. Now, how does generative AI support you as a learner? I think it's the first time you can have a 24-hour a day tutor always available to assist you with your study material. Can create practice questions, summarize long readings. I think that's sometimes that we all need is summarize long readings, and then writing, support for you as well. In terms of checking your grammar, your layouts, all of that. And as I mentioned, also translations and simplifications. So we did it in the previous masterclass. So for instance, a good example would be, say you studying a topic that sounds very complicated because it's academic level. You can actually ask it to explain to me like I'm in grade 8, or even like I'm a pre-primary, and it will give you a very visual way of learning or explaining it to you. And then you ask it, for instance, matric level, it will be using normal everyday language. And then as you progress, you can actually then ask it to do academic level. And so you actually build that foundational image up and you build on top of it. So especially if there's something that's very difficult to understand, break it down with simplification by asking to explain at different levels. When we get to the personas, we'll also talk about roles and how powerful that is as well. All of that you can add to it to really make it work for you, because generally the general AI that you get is not always that good specifically for your use case, as it's meant to be used by everybody to give a very, how can I say, good experience, but not a tailored experience. Now, ChatGPT users wrote 40% faster with better quality. Definitely, it's one of those that can be your writing assistant as you go along. Also, one that gives you good ideas where you can go ahead with, with research, different topics, perhaps dive deeper into different topics, or have a different perspective on a topic. So in that case, it's one of the powerful tools within learning. And remember just one thing, it's always a back and forth. It's not just you insert a prompt and you take what you get. It's a back and forth conversation that you have with the AI. So as we mentioned, simplify complex concepts such as Ubuntu, summarize readings into quick notes. Use that quite a lot. Translations, or simplify the text. Especially if you prefer, learning in your home language, maybe you remember better, when you have a very good understanding in your home language and you can explain it to people around you, and then afterwards you learn the English version, so it just makes it very more easier to learn. Brainstorm research ideas. Tomorrow we're actually having the Elicit workshop, so definitely have a look out for that one. Elicit AI is made specifically for researchers. We're actually having it on campus at Makkelneek in the Senate Hall, but it will also be streamed online. And that's made for postgraduates and honors students, and how they can help them with their thesis writing. But yeah, definitely it can motivate you, encouragements, especially when you've got your own agent. You can build it into their persona to encourage you along the way, especially if you do quizzes, you might get something wrong. How does it react to that? So it's really a powerful tool that you can use for yourself with your learning experience. Oh, so you guys are doing very well with your uh, uh, pre-assessments. And Shamim, don't worry, we take you through all of this and how to use it responsibly. Definitely have a look at the masterclass as well, because remember, responsible use of AI is very much, just inserting and taking what you get. It's, as we mentioned, it's a back and forth conversation, because in the end you want your ideas to be reflected, not the general AI that it gives you. And then also I know a question that will pop up: how do I reference if I used AI? You can't reference a tool. Like, you don't reference, you use Grammarly. But what a lot of the papers out there is asking is to disclose that you used AI to support you. So disclosure is always good. It's also optional, but definitely you're not going to be doing it, how can I say, just take the AI to what you get and then reference the tool to say you use ChatGPT. So please do not do that. So definitely, when you use AI, as we mentioned, it can actually help you learn complex topics. So for instance, also contextualize it to something, more familiar around you, that you can learn it a lot quicker. And then obviously, as we mentioned, you can ask it to give you quizzes, even perhaps in different languages. So you can really make learning a lot more fun with these types of tools. So definitely what its benefits is 24/7 available. It's fast at summarizing, and can give a personalized response if it has a lot of information about you. Can be your creative brainstorming partner, and then multilingual flexibility. Nowadays, obviously, not everything is just positive. The big thing is also hallucinations. It can give wrong answers, make fake citations. It's very good at generating content, and you can actually challenge it when it's wrong, and it will actually just create more content to prove that it's right. So, and then you end up fighting with the thing, and you wonder, why am I fighting with a tool? But yeah, so in that cases, it's rather time to start over, and we'll have a look at why they start hallucinating as well. So always remember, it's still more or less a method of predicting patterns. So that's why you can influence the pattern with how you prompt it. I always ask people, how do you actually hack an AI? How do you program an AI? You might think, oh, now I need to go learn Python or code. No, you do it through words. That's how remember, it's a large language model. It works with text. And you actually, with text, you can hack it. That's how they get through all these boundaries that's being put in place, because in the end, you can do it all with sentences. And that's how you can, say, when you become a very good prompter, you will notice some of the gaps that's in the, preset that you get, and then you can work around it to really make it unique. So yeah, also the data it was trained on, it's very Western focused and Eastern focused currently. Most of the AIs that we get is from the China area, and then we get a lot from America. And you might know that in Africa, not everything was captured digitally yet. So there's quite a big drive in all the African countries to actually get the content now digitized, so that the future models can actually get trained on it. So it does have a lot of information about our local context, but sometimes it misses the details within that bigger picture. Now, very interesting about this as well, we were at a conference, and especially Kenya, that areas, they're using it for the first time to capture all the different languages, the dictionaries, the historical dictionaries, all of that. So you just basically scan it in, and AI, all of that produces the content in a digital format. So definitely it's the first time Africa is also pushing to get all of that information digitized so that everybody can have access to it. Now, also data privacy risks. So if you use, for instance, a free AI, such as Meta or WhatsApp Meta, or you're using the free version of Google, ChatGPT, all of them, they will actually use your data to train on future models. So just note, when you do interact with them, they do use your data. Where this becomes very important is, say you're working with company confidential information, or say you're doing your research and it's a long research study that's going to take you 3 years. And you don't want to come to the end of 3 years and then realize, oh, the AI has been trained on most of your research already before you even publish. So definitely things to consider when using different types of models. So how do you get around it? Sometimes through paid models. But luckily, since you're with UNISA, you'll have access to Copilot. I can give you also a little scoop here. From next semester, you will also have access to the latest Gemini models from Google, Notebook LLM. But what's nice about these more ones built for education and corporate is that everything that you insert is not being trained on. It's not being shared for the next models. Now, also a very big thing is over-reliance. And one of the big reasons, or how can I say, where this becomes a problem is if you're so reliant on the AI that you can't function and do your own work anymore, that becomes a problem. Technology always changes. It's still you that should be holding the skills to actually do what you do professionally. A good example of this would be, okay, it's now probably 6 months ago or so, OpenAI actually went offline for half a day. And did you think a lot of programming was done in the world? No, everybody had a reason suddenly to go for a cup of coffee, because without these AI tools, they can't be as productive or to produce the content. So definitely something to look out for is over-reliance. Now, for you that's also, how can I say, conscious about your data, is, when you use these type of tools, ask it to be concise, not generate too much images, all of that. When you have access to Wi-Fi, ask it then to do the heavier tasks. You can even tell it to do text over media. And you can always, when you have access to Wi-Fi, save this data outputs to offline methods of accessing it. So definitely have it share your notes that AI perhaps produce for you, so that others can also benefit from this technology that perhaps do not have the access always to these tools. Now, if I go back to our course over here, see, Melissa, I'm just quickly gonna show you here, just for those that's struggling to log in. So if you go to log in, remember, don't use the top one, use this one over here. Use the MyUNISA email account. So for those that are most likely not working, you must use this use MyUNISA email login. So I'm actually going to see, copy link. I'm not sure if it will work, but I'll paste the direct link in there. Yeah, maybe I think it should work. There we go. Use that login page that I just sent you. Do not use the top one. Use the use MyUNISA email account. Okay, so if we go back to our course, so we went through Unit 1, what is generative AI, where we cover the various types of AI models. And remember, Loazi is always there as well to help you out. I just want to highlight as well, if you want to start a new chat with Loazi, just press the reset button conversation, and then you will be able to start a new one. Now, on all of these, there's very practical, how can I say, explanations. So we can copy this one, for instance, here. Press the copy button, and you can paste it in here for Loazi. And you can just see how the different types of prompts actually influences the AI and the responses that you get. We also cover the AI, generative AI, also with examples. So definitely go work through these ones. We won't have time to go through all of these examples, as we do want to get to the more newer things that we want to try out. So as we mentioned, on-demand assistance, speed, efficiency, personalized learning. All of the content is available on here for you to explore. And then, as we mentioned as well, each one has a type of reflection activity as well that you need to do. And then also a final activity where you ask it, for instance, to complete simple tasks. I'm just quickly going to go to this one over here before we complete the unit. So, for instance, this one over here, choose a AI tool. Let me know in the chat which AI tool you are currently using. Are you using Copilot, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, or are you using Anthropic, Claude, or which is your preferred one? I think most people these days use WhatsApp because it's easily available. The only thing with WhatsApp is, as we talk about different types of AI models, you know, they always talk about the parameters. So the WhatsApp models method that you get for free is usually about 4 billion to 8 billion parameters, versus one like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, that runs into trillions parameters. So definitely make sure you understand these concepts. So the one that's 4 billion parameters to 8 billion won't give you as good a quality output as the bigger ones. I see a lot of ChatGPT still. Claude and Llama. Nice. Llama is open source. Abacus. Oh, I haven't heard about that one. I'll have a look at that one and report back on that in the next session as well. So yes, a lot of big models out there. All of them are still evolving at a rapid pace, and definitely we'll see how which will be the winners probably in a few years only, which will be the new Microsoft and all of that. But yeah, definitely do the activities in the forums. As we mentioned, please interact with each other as well. Make sure that because this is a collaborative learning. As we mentioned, this is actually a new technology in the case that it put everybody at the same level. So that's what I like about what the Kenyan president actually said. It's the first time that we now have a technology where everybody starts from scratch. So everybody is equal in their terms. So that's how we can get the edge within Africa as well with the new latest technologies. So definitely, yeah, interact with the platform. Make sure to reply to other students as well, especially if there's students that need some assistance during the session. Now, so that's just an overview of generative AI. As I mentioned, it's very evolving so quickly. For instance, last year the focus was agents, and that's what we're going to look at this one, creating a personalized agent. I don't know if any of you heard about OpenClaw or Claw Code that came out about 2 months ago. It was one of the fastest repositories that grew. There's quite a few different versions now. Now, just to give you what it is, it's more or less an agent that runs on a PC, so it can actually have its own PC. And it actually is, how can I say, linked to skills. Skills is almost like sub-agents. So it's very powerful at actually running your computer, basically running everything for you. So as we mentioned, it's quite quick at evolving technology. And I think this is the first year that they're actually getting very practical uses out of it. So it's very interesting technologies to follow in that regard. So definitely after you're done, just do the quick self-check to make sure that you have understand all of what was covered in the module, and then we can proceed to the next module. So definitely, yeah, along this way, chat to Luwazi, try them out. Oh, Nova. Okay, so Nova is also one that you can test out. So thank you, Jacobus, for sharing that one as well. And yes, definitely go test out, especially platforms like Llama, the open source agents, or LLMs. And there's also open source agents that you can test out that really can help you benefit with very specific tasks. So, okay, let's finish this one. So now we're going to start talking about more what is agents, where do they fit in, especially, and also what is prompting. So I'm just going to quickly highlight first on this web page over here. So you'll notice prompt engineering. I'm just going to recap what is prompts. So remember, when you do prompts, it's all the way you phrase your question, or the instructions. So you can, for instance, use very keywords such as list, summarize, all of those type of terms to really guide what its output is. One of the big things is context. You want to provide context. It doesn't know who you are when you ask it a question. It doesn't really actually remember it. All of that is saved on your computer. And every time you prompt it, it goes through as a brand new prompt to the actual agent. And it takes what its system prompt is. We'll have a look at what a system prompt is later. And in all your conversations, and puts it all within one, how can I say, query to the agent, and it returns with a reply. If it doesn't have any memory, it will just say it doesn't remember you. I've actually got a very good example of that using N8N, but unfortunately the server went down just before this workshop. But I will show you later but what we talk about when we talk about memory, knowledge, all of those aspects with LLMs. But just know the LLM that you interact with doesn't remember you. It's a big machine that runs. Your query goes in with your current question, all your past questions, all the documents that you added in one single go, and you get a response. Now you can imagine you having a very long conversation with this agent. Maybe you uploaded your study guide. So every time you ask a question, it takes all the content from the study guide, all your questions, and sends it again as one query, and you get a response. Now, if you go back and forth a few times, that becomes very, very long. Now, that's where we talk about context windows. LLMs only has a certain amount of data it can handle at one go. So, for instance, they're now talking about the million parameter context windows, like the Claudes and the OpenAIs and the Geminis. Now, what that means, it can have a million tokens it can process at one time. And that million tokens, if you take a word, for instance, might be a few tokens already. So if you fill up that knowledge base, it can't take in any additional information. So what happens? There's a few ways where they summarize the data perhaps. Before it goes into the LLM, it might get chunked, so it takes out certain parts of the conversation. And a lot of times, as you fill it out, it starts chopping off the last part. But the last part, or the first questions that you posted. But those might be the most important ones, because that actually gives the output of where you want to go. And now suddenly it doesn't remember it. And that's where we definitely then end up with hallucinations, because it's trying to, with all of these bits that it gets, because there's too much information, try and make out what should be the response. And then you just see, oh, this thing has lost its mind. It's talking about different things now, because it doesn't have actually all the information. It doesn't remember the long conversation you had with it. So definitely something to remember. It's important to provide context, but you also, when you talk about context, the conversations should be not too long, because you're going to fill up that window and you're basically just going to get things that it's not worth having in the end. So definitely at that stage, just ask it to summarize and you start a new chat. So yeah, one of those big things to just remember is, I think that most people don't always get, is that these concepts of context windows that can get full, and then you start getting, yeah, basically something that you can't use. They did try getting, especially with knowledge, they had all these RAG models, different ways of how information is retrieved, but still, remember, this LLMs can only handle that much. So that's why it's more important to have like an agent that's very focused with a certain amount of information it can really specialize in. So definitely on here, we've also got some examples of good prompts that you can use to test it out to get a good understanding of what you should know about prompts. And once we've done with the prompts, this is when we now start going into personas. So I'm just going to head back over here. So why would we use a persona? And a persona is something that makes it unique. Like when you go to ChatGPT, you go to Gemini, those agents have already been given a persona, a way of how it's going to reply to you. Obviously, it's one that's made very safe. It's one that's very general because it has everybody is talking to the same persona. So it's one that's been tested out very well, but it's very generic. So when you ask it a question, it will give you a very generic response because it's set up that way to be very safe in that regard and to be try and be as accurate as possible. But sometimes you want it to specialize. Say you want it to be give you a professor's answer or a engineer's answer. You know, all of these fields use different terms, different ways of replying, especially in academia. If you wanted to reply with an academia response, it's something that you add to that persona. And that's what we're going to focus on, especially later on this module as well, is how do you create these personas. But just know, this is where you give the AI an identity. You guide it on, this is how you reply, this is your tone, this is what you expect from it. It's not just generic response. The generic responses are so bad, actually. Academias, they get so many ChatGPT, Gemini, even WhatsApp Meta responses that they can immediately see this is a AI response because it's set up to give you a generic response. Once you start giving it a role, you know, a tutor, you know, when you do your back and forth, you get the unique language that actually speaks to you. So personas are definitely role-based instructions. Like for instance, that's tailored to what your needs are. Maybe you want it to be consistent and engaging. All of that is within the persona to give it. So definitely think of it as a AI character, you know, a tutor, coach, advisor. I would even always go further. Do a persona on somebody that you perhaps know, a role that you perhaps know. Give it a name. Take that little bits of information from that person, you add it to the persona, and you will get a lot better response. Because remember, LLMs were trained on human, humans trained it, was learned on human text. So it actually takes a persona very, very easily because it basically mimics humans. So the persona, this is where we now start moving towards agents. So agents is where you want something that's consistent, it's relevant, and you can control what the output is and how it engages with you. So remember, a prompt is instruction plus context. You can even then give it an examples and perhaps a role as well. That once you start giving it a role, you're almost already starting to move towards what an agent is. But we'll see what the big difference is when we come to the system prompt. So remember, when you do clearer prompts, you get better answers. That's all covered in the Masterclass 1, where we really go quite deep into what prompts are. So obviously, when you give your first responses poor, you always refine and retry until you get a formula that really works for you. So yeah, when you do prompting, you always want to be specific, provide context, assign a role, and then iterate over it. But if you do this, if you look at all of these ones here, that's a lot of typing every time you want to ask a question. You just want a quick answer, and it must be relevant to your use case. Why must you every time be, this is my context, this is my context, or my information, this is how you should be replying to me. This, if you type it all out, there's a page that you have to type out just for your initial prompt so you can get a good response. So that's a lot of typing, and that's where we come to agents. It's where we put all of that already within the system prompt, so when you interact with it, it's ready to give you that specific answer that you need. So when we look at elements of a good persona, is definitely you want to give it a role, identity, who the AI is. That's why I say give it a name, model it on somebody that you know that's good in that field. You must give it a clear goal, what its goal is, what its purpose is, what must be the outcome of what you are actually looking for. What is its purpose? Everybody wants a purpose, even the AI. So definitely give it a purpose so it can feel that it's worth something. Give it a tone and a style, tell it you only want South African English. You don't want the American misspellings. You want the real proper English. So tell it from the beginning, you do South African English, or you can say you can do South African English mixed a bit with your home language, perhaps it's Zulu, it's Xhosa, any of those. It will add it and create a specific personality. You can also give it specific behavior, what it should do, what it should avoid as well. And that's something you will learn over time as well. Where's perhaps some pitfalls where it goes wrong, and you can add it to the persona. Now you always want to add some context as well. And obviously you don't want to overburden it with too much context, but you want to say, who is it training, where you located perhaps, how you prefer learning. All of that information is within the context. And then you can mix some, as I mentioned, some multilingual as well. And then obviously, especially in academic sense, what is the ethics? Don't reply to me just with an answer. I'll guide me through it. All of that you can put in there. And obviously also cite resources accurately. Only use academic resources. I think that's one of the biggest ones that a lot of people miss is it can give you these days very good results with links to resources, but in a lot of times it's blogs and things that is not within the academic sphere. So there you can really dial it down to what type of resources can actually reference. So when you talk about, creating your own personas, you definitely think of a name first, just to make it really unique. We're going to be working on Lwazi, but it can be Tandi, all different types of personas. Outline what you need. What is its task? What is its behavior? So if you think of academic sense, you might want one that is your tutor, that guides you through, helps you with your assignment, guides you through your assignments. And then you perhaps want another one that's your lecturer, that's actually going to be grading it. So then you give it a persona of that, and then you see where your gaps are within your submissions. You can give it a tone, a style, how it should respond, or especially also the style must be academic, must be everyday writing or language. Incorporate your user context. Maybe you want responses very short and accurate, or it must be very factual and complete. All of that you can incorporate into the user context, and then you combine it all into one persona prompt, and then obviously you'll test and refine this. So remember, this is your own persona that you're creating, and it's going to give you the results basically of how well it works. If we look at the activities that's online, so definitely there is some, I think I do have actually just here before we go to this one, some example personas. So Lwazi, your friendly study companion. Naledi, a career mentor. Motivational essay, motivational one that provides you just South African examples. Tandi, writing coach. Other roles, study buddy, professor, advisor, coding tutor. It's endless what it can do. It can, as I mentioned now, with these new tools that uses multiple agents such as the open clause and things coming up now, even Perplexity. I saw there was one person using Perplexity. If you have Perplexity desktop, it can actually run on your desktop, and it uses various types of agents to complete various types of tasks. So you can definitely, here you think, what is it that you need? What should it be focused on? So definitely, if you're going to be talking to an agent, what I can quickly show you here is just also a demo of, just so you have a good understanding of where we're going. So I'm going to go here. This is where we can build agents. So when you create an agent, for instance, I'm just going to create a agent here, or just a normal chatbot. Let's give it a name. Call it example. I'm just going to create this one just to give you overview of what we are talking about. So when I ask it here, let me just give it a better model as well. We want to use that one. Okay, so I'm going to say, hello, what is your name? And what can you do? Let's ask it just a very simple question. So it'll give you just a generic response. Hello, I'm ChatGPT. I can do this, answer questions, very, very boring. It's the things that we know already. But we want something that can help us with our studies perhaps. Now this is where you start adding knowledge. So you can, for instance, add some knowledge here. So we've actually have pre-knowledge on this one. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to add Lowazi's knowledge because that's all about UNISA. Now, very importantly, we also want it then to have a system prompt. We can start it now. So I'm just going to add my system prompt here as well. And the system prompt, as we mentioned, it's got a role, identity. It gives it a course scope and support. What is its purpose? Assessment integrity rules. All of that is built within this persona, as we can say, the system prompt that we give this bot. So if I restart this and I can ask it again, hello, what is your name and what can you do? So definitely now it goes and gives you this. Hi, I'm Lawazia. I'm a friendly robot assistant here to support UNISA students and help them with their digital skills. So just like that, we created an agent. Now, if it's something that's very focused, answers very conversationally, might ask follow-up questions as well. You know, what would you like me to help you with? Because now it's just not a general one that we talk to. Now it's actually your agent. Now you've made it something that works for you. Okay, yeah, no, Stefanele, we will share the recording as well, so you can follow up. Remember, if you have any problems accessing the quizzes, just send us an email at aovh@unisa.ac.za. But just in terms of your questions, how do you acknowledge the use of ChatGPT? You don't need to always specify exactly which tools you use. You can just say acknowledgement. I used AI in the development of ideas. Maybe I used AI in checking and formatting. That's how you acknowledge. So very specific of what you used it. You don't go into depth exactly what you did. Some of papers, if you submit articles, do actually want you to give the prompt as well and the output of the prompt, so they can see exactly how you prompted it, what was the output, and then how you incorporated that within your study. But for just normal assessments, usually you just acknowledge it. But also very importantly, always make sure, some lecturers will stipulate immediately that you may not use AI. We're still working on them, but others have already made a material where it actually incorporates AI. So always just check with within your module. If they explicitly say no AI, just rather stay away from it. But otherwise, you can always just acknowledge it within a little statement at the end before your references to acknowledge that you have used AI. And you can say, for instance, just an overview, checking spelling, ideas, that type of thing. So definitely, yeah, this is Diffie for anybody that's interested. It's actually a free online platform as well. They actually do give you free tokens if you want to start. They're very open to academia, that I like. So if you're interested in building bots, this goes a little bit deeper than what we are doing here with our personas, but it is available online as well. And this is actually, if you look at the studio here, we've got College of Human Sciences testing it out on their modules. And this is actually where Lowazi also stays, where Lowazi's got all her knowledge. So she's got knowledge, That's all the information, as I could say, from UNISA, for instance, frequently asked questions, the personality. It might also be, for instance, about the course. All of this is available on here. And then always, AI has also got tools. When ChatGPT 3.5 came out about 2 years ago, if you asked it something, it won't give you links to online and all of that. It was just plain prompt. And usually the information was about 6 months out of date, because these models do take a long time to train. So all models are actually always outdated. Even when they get released, they don't have the latest information. And that's where they added tools, and now it can go search the internet for latest information. But that's also where inaccuracies can creep in, because it will always still take its inherent knowledge over what it's learned. So even though it went to go search for information, because it was trained on information where the facts perhaps have changed, it will still rely on what it was trained on. So obviously that's something where they're still working on, where a model can continuously learn. But just know, all of that information actually goes search latest information to give you that information. And obviously that also fills up its context and does sometimes lead to you getting inaccurate information. So you can test it out immediately. Copy a prompt from here, Study Buddy, and test it out to see how it changes. So you just refresh again in the chat how it actually changes the outputs that you get by just giving it a very short persona in this case. If you follow through the content as well, this is where we go through the goals. We start building up towards your own agent. This is where you know what is the do's and the don'ts, all of that you need to add. So as you can see, you start actually building up this area over here, and you can see it becomes quite a long thing to type. Now obviously you don't want to retype this every time you start a new conversation. And we have also obviously added you a little bit of a template that you can use to start building your own AI agent. And then there's the activity as well, where we end off, where you actually test out your own mini agents within this area. So definitely go have a look and test it out. This all builds up, you know, on, so you have a good understanding of what is a persona, what does it do, as we go towards working towards our own agent. And that is where we go into the next unit. So yeah, a good example persona on a lady, a career mentor, you know, 10 years experience, supportive, motivational, essay, companies, public figures, interactivity, you know, ask gentle questions, because he's a career mentor. You can always change it as well, you know, be harsh and critical and all of that. So all of that influences the way it's gonna, how can I say, respond to you. So definitely do the activity on creating a mini persona. I'm not going to let you do it now, but you can do it in the background if you want to, because it will take a bit too much time for this online session. So yes, always have some reflections afterwards, what worked, what didn't work, as you create these personas. So this is really where you start working on your own assistants, agents, to create a specific task. What's nice about these new tools is you can have a personal assistant. Your personal assistant might have a task, somebody that you talk to through WhatsApp and all of these platforms, and they actually give their, how can I say, their tasks to sub-agents. So those sub-agents also has a very clear role of how they should reply to your main agent, and you only interact with your main agent, and actually goes to all of these agents to give you a good reply. But yeah, we don't want to get too involved. We want to keep it still on where we're going to create our agent very soon. So agents is prompts and persona shaped AI behavior. So as we saw, AI is very general, it's very broad, thoughts on a vast amount of information, doesn't know which country it doesn't know who it is all of that is given to it. So by giving it a persona, you actually shape the way it responds to you. So agents keep context across conversations. So even if you start a new conversation, it will inject your persona into it and then keep that context as well. If you added any knowledge to it, it's always driven to works toward a certain goal, a predefined goal. Maybe it's your agent that just summarizes for you. Maybe it's an agent that's, as we said, your study buddy. So it's very focused. So definitely, that's why we say you could create your agent for a specific module, even a module tutor, a module lecturer, and you add all of the information that it needs to give you a good reply. So chatbot is, reactive. It's once-off Q&A quickly. It's got limited memory, great for clarifications just of information. Where agents are goal-directed. It's got a certain purpose. It maintains context. It can use tools in advanced cases as well. And it can even be proactive, suggest steps to do next. Agents can also be, a lot of times, run on a schedule to do a certain task at a certain time, and it will do it consistently if the prompt is very good every single time it's called. So yeah, definitely, when you start thinking of your agent, think of something that can fill a need within what you need to know. So definitely, we're going to start working on Lwazi. Remember, when you do this Lwazi agent, you definitely afterwards go and refine it, make it really your unique, where it can actually start feeling like your own agent that you're going to be using. Just a quick just a reminder of AI agents in daily life. You get your virtual assistant Siri, Alexas. They've all got a very specific personality. You get educational tutors, customer service bots, the ones that you interact with online. All of them are agents that's there with very clear role. Maybe they must just give you product information. Maybe they must provide you support. Now, when we talk about Lwazi, we're going to create an educational conversation agent with, context is very, well, it's got a context, it's got a gentle initiative and clear learning goal. So this is what you develop in the last units. So please go through the content, to understand exactly what we mean with continuous dialogue. It's something that it will always pick up from. You can ask it, for instance, just today I'm learning this in this module. You don't even want to say what module it is. You give all of that already within its persona. It can adapt to your learning over time. It can be motivational. You really define what it can help you with. So remember, it's still not human. Limited empathy, knows only what you share, needs your guidance and verification. So always know the agent is only as strong as what you make it. So I'm not gonna go too much in these stories over here because I really want us to dive in to start building our own agents. But just remember, when we start talking about agents, it needs a LLM, the brain. And what do we mean by that? So if we look at Lwazi, for instance, on this one, when you, this is the knowledge. So I'm just going to click on this one. So remember, you always still give it a GPT. So it might be Anthropic, one of the large language models that it's going to be using. We're going to be building ours on Copilot. So by default, it will be using Copilot. You give it a persona, identity, and behavior. How does it respond to you? You give it some memory. This is the short-term system prompt. And then we also give it some tools if it's available, such as, for instance, access your notes that you've got in your OneDrive. And then how must it give you feedback? So definitely this one that we will be doing is always going to be just give you information, ask permission if it needs to change anything. But you can actually make ones that are completely autonomous, and then you don't exactly know what to do, but it's very interesting sometimes. So persona context, as we mentioned, how do you program AI? Through text, and this is what we're basically going to be doing. It's going to be creating our own agent without any coding. and it will give us very reliable feedback on this. So at this stage, what I'm going to do is, if you're following along, open another one and go to office.com. I'll share the link right now. Let me just type it in quickly here. So you open this in a different page. Best agent for visually impaired students, definitely one that can speak back to you. You get various ones already, even it's not built in yet. I'll have a look now if it's built into ChatGPT that we've got online. So I just want to copy this. But Copilot is very good. Gemini is getting very good as well. We just have text input, and it's like a conversation you actually have with it. It's very human-like. You don't even need to do much. It really feels like you're just talking to a human. You just load your documents, and it's a back and forth conversation. So definitely, Priscilla, I'm gonna look at Copilot. This one over here, you can talk to it. So you can give it instructions, for instance, on to do something, but it doesn't always give you the audio back. Now, this is the limitation, unfortunately, with technology, is that if you do the free version of Copilot, you can actually have back and forth conversations. We actually do that in the Masterclass one as well, and it's very good, but the technology is not ready for enterprise yet. It will probably be in a year's time, or even less than a year, because they have done it from last year. But before it becomes enterprise ready, they want to fix all the security gaps. So that's why these models are a bit lagging behind into the enterprise versions that we work with our MyLife email addresses. But it is available on free accounts. So definitely have a look at that. And as I mentioned, we are actually also going to be working with Google soon from next semester. They're going to give us a lot of free stuff for you guys to actually test out the latest technology as well. So hopefully they've also got something that we can share. But yeah, I think for equal access for students that's definitely enabled, it's one of those fantastic technologies that's making very big headways. Okay, so for all of you, please go to office.com. You just sign in with your MyLife email. You might know this space as well already. This is where you get all your apps, your outlooks, and all of these things that you use on a daily basis. You can also install apps such as Microsoft 365 on your computer. So definitely this is one of those things that you should know as a student. But I'm just going to focus here on agents. Now, unfortunately, this is a desktop still. So if you're going to be using your mobile phone, you can rather, when you got access to your laptop, create the agent, but it will then be available on your phone as well afterwards, after you created it. So I'm just going to create here a new agent. Just wait for this to load. Now, while this is loading, I'm just going to come back here, and we're actually going to be here on Unit 4, writing the WASI system prompt. So I'm going to copy this link as well. So this is the two places you want to be at the moment. It's the WASI system prompt, and then also on the Microsoft page where you can create an agent. Now, I do want to highlight what you can do with the system prompt as well. If you don't want to use Copilot specifically within your account, you can actually save this as a Word document. And then every time you start a new conversation, you add this as an attachment to a new chat. So if you start with Google Gemini, you upload this as a Word document or a text document, and you just tell it take on the persona of the agent, and it will follow from there as well. So this is a nice way because we've got access to it from your students' accounts. But just remember, you can do this as well. Use it, just a Word document that you add to any AI agent that you or AI system that you talk to. Now, when we start with our system prompt over here, if you're on this page, you give it your name, give it your age, if you want to disclose. I'm going to say I'm from Western Cape actually. And I'm going to say language, I'm going to say Afrikaans in my case. I'm going to say, for instance, here information science. I'm going to say Math 1501. I'm just going to say intermediate algebra, because the LLM won't necessarily know what the module code is. So if I insert this, so remember this is something that we just made to make it a bit easier for you to start with. So I'm going to say personalized prompt. So you get this prompt over here. So we obviously give it an introduction. What's its name? What is its context a little bit? We give it its role as identity. You are a virtual tutor. So in this case, a peer or mentor. You understand the learner is studying through open distance learning in South Africa. So all of that we give it within its role and identity. And this is something that you can change. So this is just an example, but this is where you specifically go and change it to your learning requirements or your personality as well. So we do add some academic integrity boundaries as well already that you can add to it. And this is where it gives you about the learner, your name, where you're from, and then additional learner context. So, you know, for instance, prefer studying late at night. How do you want the topics to be broken down? All of this is within this prompt that you will create as you get to Unit 4. So, but as I mentioned, this is something that you will definitely revise. You will not like all of it. You might want to change a lot of it. Because remember, you want your own agent. You just don't want another generic Lwazi one. So you can even change the name very, very quickly within this document. So you copy the full text. You can put this in a Word document. As I mentioned, upload it somewhere, start a chat with it. But in this case, we're going to use Microsoft 365. And we're going to say this is Lwazi algebra assistant. Let's fix that. There we go. I'm just going to say a short description. Assists learning Math 1501, and we say intermediate algebra. Let's fix that as well. Now here where it comes to instructions. So instructions, you can even click on here, the behavior, the agent, including the task and how it completes them. So this is where we now actually add our context, for instance, on this. But just be note there is a limit, for instance, 8,000 characters. Now, why do you think it will give you that limit? And that's because we talked about context. Obviously, you don't want something that's a whole book, because this is going to be injected every single time you ask a question. This is going to be the first thing it sees. So that's why you want to be short and very precise of what it needs to do. So that's the instructions. We pasted in our persona over here. Now you can also your capabilities. That's the tools that it can use. It can perhaps create images for you as well. Check that box. You can add a URL. We've got some additional information. Maybe you wanted to search a specific website on algebra that you know is got the information that you need. So you can incorporate that URLs on here. So it's got that additional knowledge. You can even add some additional prompts. So study time, and the message will be it's time to study. So when you come here, you just say study time. The agent knows, okay, we need to now tackle a certain topic. So once you've done all this, you can also test it out. And I can ask it, hello, what can you tell me today? Let's ask it there. So it will generate it a bit the first time, especially. Remember, it needs to now take on this prompt that you give it. So there it takes on, welcome, I'm Luwazi, your friendly study companion. So just like that, you created your own agent. Something where you actually programmed AI to give you very specific types of responses. And this will give you the edge, especially when you do, for instance, assessments, when you perhaps need to do certain tasks in a certain context. This will give you the power where you have consistent output, and it's not just generic AI, because now it knows how to respond to you, what is the context, what it can do. And since we gave it its capabilities of actually creating files, interacting with your files, you can even say, create a file, make this for me. All of that without just using your normal online AI agents that we are familiar with. Now, what's very nice about it, since when we're done, we just say create, and it will then create your agent. And then I can go to agent as well. Now I can even share this agent. So if you want to share it with somebody, you can always share it. Where is the share button? Why did they remove it now? Let's just refresh it. So I've got it here on my left navigation. Start a new chat. Auto, quick response, GPT, OpenAI. Yeah, all of that. Somehow they removed the share. I think, oh, yeah, sorry. So you can always share your agent with somebody else. So if you produce something very, very well, or maybe you've got a family member that doesn't have access to this, but they need to learn grade 8 mathematics. You share that agent, create one for them, share it with them. Maybe you want somebody that helps them write recipes or something like that. You can, options are endless, and you can just share it with them. Now, if I got my agent here, as I can see, every time I'm gonna log in to Office, your agent will be available here. It will also be available on the mobile app if you've got one. And I can just every time start a conversation, like for instance, let me just make sure I've got Luwazi open. It's time to study. That's one of the buttons I put in, remember. So it's gonna prompt it that, and it's gonna kick off and immediately know it's algebra assistant. It's gonna know that your name is, where your context is. Goed so, Richard, that's great mindset so to start with. So as you can see, because I said my home language, it already incorporated that as well. So it really gives you that local lingo to make it a lot more interactive. So, Sharim, Kasib, so what do you use this for? So this is basically your agent. So once you've got it, so for instance, say you've created an agent for your module, you've gave it access to your OneDrive, you gave it some context. What you do is, for instance, when you start a conversation, you just upload that module, and then you can start actually interacting with it about the information. So remember, this one takes on the role of a tutor, so it will actually teach you that information. If you've got an assessment that you need to do, it will guide you on how to do it. You can even, it's a back and forth conversation as you work with it. So agents is really, it's very specific, goal orientated, and this one is specifically now for you as a tutor, but you can really use it for anything. As I mentioned, you can use it as your daily plan, for instance, where just access your emails or your calendar, and it will give you tips on that as well. So how you're going to use it is really endless, but in this case, it's there to help you study, to make the information that you learn very accessible for, I can say, in terms of your context, your home language, your understanding, or if you just want to break down complex topics, the options that you have with an agent is really, really endless in that case. So this is what we build up through in this course. I'll just go back to our course over here, writing Lavoisier's system prompt. Now we do, obviously you are going to iterate over it and it becomes something that's very useful. Remember, you can have an agent just focused on writing emails. You can have an agent specific for writing essays. You can have one for doing flashcards for you. All types of things are available that you can do with AI agents. Now, once you've got a good understanding of how agents works, you're really going to understand how AI as a whole work and how you actually interact with it on a day-to-day basis to get tasks done. So this is the end of this masterclass. So please, once you're done, do the post-assessment as well. I see a lot of you did very well already with the first one. So you can just fly through it and then go do the final assessment to have this listed as a co-curricular activity. And then I can give you some heads up for the Masterclass 3 that's coming out next semester. What we are going to focus on is also Microsoft's AI agents, but we're also going to be using, for instance, Notebook LLM. If any of you use Notebook LLM, I can quickly just show you here. Great tool to study with as well. Created by Google, Notebook LM. And what's nice about Notebook LM is it can actually create presentations for you. It can do videos. It's one of those really powerful tools that they are working on where the agent is already built in. And but since you know already after this what an agent is, to program this will be very, very easy for you. But Notebook LM is really where you bring everything together and it starts creating flashcards for you, instantaneous videos, all of that. So this is going to be a very fun one to do as well. And with our partnership with Google, they will give you access to the more premium aspects of it as well. And beginning, where do we go to create the bot? I went to home, my student skills. So I'll just post a link in as well for you. So we're gonna, the last one is writing Lavoisier's system prompt. So this will be on this one, CLA. So remember, before you might be able to access it, you might just need to do the pre-course assessment so that you got access then to that page. Okay, everybody. So definitely I'm going to see you next semester as well, as we start with this next iteration, as we go now to these tools on a bigger scale. Then we start making movies and all of that type of thing with these agents that we created. And we really make it unique and see how it can actually really empower us with our online learning. And not just our online learning, also in your daily productivity as well. So with that, I want to just say thank you to everybody for joining this last session. We will see you probably in 2 weeks' time, starting with exams. So all of you that's got exam anxiety, you can just show with hand clap perhaps, is we will be online. We're going to be here to support you for all the proctoring tools. If you're a first year student and everything is new to you, we will do all of that to help you with your preparing for your examinations, to really make it really easy for you, so you focus on studying, because remember, you're here to study content, not to learn different proctoring tools. So we will see you. Look out for the communication as we prepare you. But we will be back next semester. As I mentioned, we've got some exciting lineups coming with Google partnerships to really open it up to the latest technologies that we can bring to you. So we hope to see you then. But thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day and all the best with your studies.